as the team gets ready to set them up for it. It is going to be then hosted by a Southern University Law Center. They'll come up with their panel, and so I'll be exiting the stage very soon. I should also remind you that there's going to be lunch after our third session, so please don't worry about that. And there's also the exhibition center once you step out there. And after lunch, we'll break into our parallel session. Ladies and gentlemen, to help us go to our next session or to get into the discussion of the subject matter, driving legal excellence in gaming, esports, music, and entertainment, a Southern University Law Center panel, please help me welcome Marla Dickerson, the Vice Chancellor of the Innovation and Strategic Partnership and Initiative of SULC. Marla, welcome. Good to see you.
Thank you.
Brilliant, great stuff.
Great to be here.
Yeah, fantastic. We're looking forward to this one, aren't you?
Oh, I am excited about being here in Ghana. We are enthused about being able to bring what we do back home in the United States here, and hopefully be able to forge some partnerships to help form mutually beneficial relationships.
Yeah, very important subject matter that we're discussing now. Everything has become these days. Everything has become electronic these days. So it's important that while we focus on what the athletes do on the pitch and around it, esports, gaming, entertainment as well becomes a crucial part. And from where you come from, from where you've worked throughout, entertainment is crucial with sports, isn't it? It's almost like you can't have that without the hardcore sports.
Yes, so we understand that our students, especially black students who we educate at Southern University Law Center, are very interested in sports and entertainment. And exactly what that means is very important. And so how do we protect our brand? How do we protect our image? How do we protect the creative sides of what we are developing in order to make sure that we are the people who are actually going to benefit monetarily from that?
Right.
And no one can use our ideas and our thoughts and our creations without our permission. So it becomes very important not only in entertainment, but in sports, because sports is branding, sports is image. And so if someone wants to use your likeness, it's very, very important for you to control that narrative and not let other people be able to profit and you not control exactly the narrative and the projection of who you want to portray.
Absolutely.
So it's very, very important for us to learn the legalities around how we can really protect ourselves.
Fantastic. Ladies and gentlemen, that is what is just about to start. As I leave it for Marla to get stuck into it, please have your seat, call up your guests, and please take it away. Ladies and gentlemen, let's enjoy the session.
I feel like I'm on a Price is Right. I want to call everybody down one at a time. So we have Torrence entering the building. I'm a comedian, y'all.
Take it away.
Mr. Torrence Burnett is the coordinator of our music and entertainment programming at Southern University Law Center. We have Mr. Christopher Turner. Come on down. You're the next contestant on the Afro Sports Summit panel. Yay! Yay! And so we have Ghana's very esports guru, Mr. Kwesi. Come on down. Yay! I like to, this is how I do in front of my class too when I teach. So, is that better? Is that better? Okay. So just to give you a little bit background on Southern University Law Center. Southern University Law Center is a part of Southern University's system, which is the only historically black college and university system in the United States. That system consists of five campuses. One of them is Southern University of Baton Rouge, which is a 4-year institution. We have Southern University of New Orleans, which is also a 4-year institution. Southern University of Shreveport, which is our 2-year institution. And then we have Southern University Law Center, which we all are representing, and Southern University Agricultural System. So it's a big school that provides a lot of opportunities for people. At Southern University Law Center, we were founded in 1947 by it's not happenstance, but a man named Charles Hatfield applied to get into Louisiana State University, which was for white people only. He was denied access, of course, because he was black. He sued the state of Louisiana in the United States. From the suit, he obtained $40,000. And instead of using the $40,000 for himself in order to educate black attorneys, he wanted to create a law center in the state of Louisiana for black people to attend. So he created Southern University Law Center. In 1947, we started. So we just celebrated our 75th anniversary. We have graduated about 6,000 students thus far, and we are committed to educating not only those folks in Louisiana, but around the United States and also around the world. We have several international students who enroll in our program every year, and we welcome anyone who's willing to participate. I'm going to turn it over so our panelists can briefly introduce themselves for about a minute before we jump into questioning.
Hello, everyone. My name is Torrence Burnett. I'm a former major label executive who decided late in life to become a lawyer. So I got my opportunity at Southern University Law Center. I graduated last year, and now I'm giving back by helping to bolster our initiatives in the sports and entertainment sector.
Good afternoon. My name is Christopher Turner. I'm the Mixed Reality Virtual Innovation Gaming and Esports Institute Director at Southern University Law Center. Been in education about right at 17 years. Just crossed over to higher ed thanks to this young lady to my right. Just here to educate, promote esports, gaming, and everything in mixed reality. And we'll get into the deeper things later on in the discussion.
Hello, everyone. My name is Kwesi Hayford, and I'm currently the president of the Esports Association Ghana. And what we're trying to do is to bridge the gap between digital sports education with esports. At the same time, we're also building inroads to create professional pathways. And we see that grassroots development is very key to us. And what we do is to also partner existing sports institutions, teams, and corporations so that we can have a firm and a formidable esports ecosystem in Ghana. Thank you.
So my first question is going to be for Chris. Explain to everyone what exactly is esports.
We get this question a lot. So pretty much esports is competitive video gaming. It's not new to Ghana, thanks to Kwesi and a few others that have did the groundwork here. But it can look different in any game. I think here FIFA is the one. So that can be a 1v1, one versus one player. But you have big, like Rocket League is a big title in the States. And so that can be 3v3. And you're starting to see competitive video gaming in what we call K through 12 schools where you have young women and young gentlemen playing competitive sports all the way to college, which we call collegiate in the States, and then on to professional and semi-professional. So, yeah, that's pretty much what esports is. It's competitive video gaming.
Now, I had a very robust discussion with a gentleman yesterday about whether esports is actually sports. What's your response to that when there are questions about the validity of whether esports should actually be called esports and not gaming?
Yeah, I've been in this industry right at 7 years now. It's a sport. You might not be physically active, but mentally, you have soft skills like teamwork. You're able to develop with each other. You have practice. You have scrimmages. You watch videos recapping your gameplay. So it's really intense. It's not just getting in front of the screen. And then what I say to everybody that's questioning, is it a sport or not? Just take this. It's the biggest form of entertainment in the world. It's bigger than football. It's bigger than basketball. It's bigger than hockey. It's bigger than movies. It's bigger than music combined. So it is entertainment. That's where your children's generation is. That's where your grandchildren are gonna live. I tell people all the time, we're one generation away from the whole house being gamers. So it's not going anywhere. And so to your point, Marla, yeah, it's a sport.
So now that you have shocked everyone with this information that it's a sport and that we are one generation away from having a household of gamers, how does that tie into scholastic achievement and teaching and really developing skills? I mean, is this something that we really need to have our children invest in? Or is it just going to be something that is going to cause them to waste brain cells?
They're not going to waste brain cells. It's definitely a gateway. And Marla, if you don't mind, I'm going to pass it to Kwesi for a second. So it definitely, you're meeting the kids where they are. That's pretty much where they live, play, that's where they conversate, that's where they build relationships. And so while you have their attention, you can kind of pretty much point them in the direction where they need to go. What we need to be asking our youth is, what do you like about the game? And then lead them to the back end of the screen, like coding, broadcasting, graphic design, so many college and career pathways that they can use in gaming. I know, Kwesi, you've been to schools here and implemented programming. Just tell them briefly, like, what's the response from the youth?
Okay, so basically, I want to combine two of your questions. So whether it is a sport or it's not a sport, basically, you look at it this way. It's a cognitive activity. A footballer uses his leg. A gamer uses his hands, right? Everybody in sports uses one way or the other their body. For video gamers or professional gamers, they use their hands because it's a cognitive ability. You have to transfer whatever is up here. Ronaldo does the same thing. His skillfulness on the same. I've seen our brother Larry Kingston. He is good on the playing field because it's his mindset. How to tap the ball, how to raise the ball, how to pass it to his friend. With that, in video game, we do almost the same thing. We think about it and passes it into our hands. So when we hold the controller and we are pushing the buttons, it is all cognitive. It is all creative abilities. And the same way in esports, in sports we have physiotherapists. We have that in esports as well. So these are areas that even now in academics, people now can go into. Esports medicine, esports therapies, esports trainers. The same way in sports we have observers. In esports, it has already existed a long time. So the career pathways are diverse just in the same way you have in sports, it is also in sports, in esports. Moving on to that, within that educational pathways are formidable pillars that needs to be discussed. And that will come into, within the scholarship space, how education will bridge that piece of knowledge. And with that will come to kids, with that will come to adolescents, then with that will come to seniors and pros. So there are levels by which we must look at and how we can transfer that. Because it's not only about sitting behind the screens. Esports is not only behind the screens. They are in the Olympics now, they are, the cycling association has cycling esports, whereby you cycle physically, just that you are not moving through town. There's a sport whereby you play boxing, right? You wear real, so your whole body is into it. It's an esports. So esports is not just be sitting behind computer and screens, but there are other aspects of esports that are springing up. There is also motorsports, sim racing, which will you can learn motorsports through esports and then end up being a physical racer as well.
Can everybody hear me? So this is something that when you're talking about thinking, it increases your ability to critically think, to strategize. And as Chris and Kwesi mentioned, it helps when you're really talking about science and technology and engineering in math because it requires coordination for those students in order to really think about it and be able to win these games. And Chris and Kwesi, correct me if I'm wrong, but if these kids enter into tournaments, are there opportunities for them to get scholarships to attend university if they win these tournaments?
Yeah, I'll talk about it from a state perspective.
Yeah, okay, so.
So yes. So in the States, we've developed the pipeline almost all the way. Elementary is still under development, but you can get scholarship dollars for middle school, high school, and you can get collegiate scholarships like full rides to college by, sitting behind that screen like Kwesi said. We have 720 universities in the States that offer scholarships. And so that's big because that number is probably going to triple in the next, I say, 3 to 4 years. And then the development of professional and semi-professional continues to grow. And then from a university perspective, we're looking at the pathway. And so we're trying to recruit the top, let's say 30% of our country, but we're also looking at, what other skill sets that you have. So when I mention like graphic design, analytics, because it's just like any other sport, we need the data, we need the numbers. We need a law student to draft up contracts and, to pretty much create policy for said, esports collegiate teams. And so it's a wide array of opportunity and not just, like Kwesi said, sitting behind that screen. It's growing. In America, we only have 4% of African Americans that are in technology. And so it's a great gateway to get them involved in other pathways and other careers to pretty much, in America, to make a six-figure living. And I'll pass it to Kwesi to talk about, what's the possibilities here.
Well, the possibilities here, I'll talk about the education aspect. For kids, yes, there's the adaptive skills development that we're looking at. Our education structure here has been basically book knowledge, right? But the world has greatly changed. And with that change has come a way for kids to learn adaptively. So my age mates, when we went to school and all we play games, it was physical stuff, But today's kids, my kids, the first time they play games are on our phones. They don't know the alukotos and they don't know about the physical games or even going out to play football. The first games they get introduced to is mobile or digital games. So that sets the boundary for them where their pathways are aligned to. So the possibilities, therefore, are being able to create an adaptive skills within the school system. So we need the school system to bring in esports as extra curriculum activity so that the kids can begin to learn. How can even the sporting space help within that? We have clubs all over Ghana. Clubs can adapt schools and help the schools to use esports because let's take football, for instance. Football is our biggest, and I will use it as reference because, in Ghana, we say that even our grandmothers are coaches because of our love and interest for football. When a match is being played, if somebody didn't score and played it right, even the grandmother has something to say, right, whilst watching. He could have done it this way. So football is our biggest game, is our biggest love, as in US compared to NBA 2K or maybe Rocket League or Call of Duty. But with us forms a culture of love for the ball. So we need to create opportunities whereby clubs can build a pathways with schools or in communities that they are located and help the schools to find let's say, football games within the schools. One of the things that we're trying to push is that clubs in Ghana can pivot on esports to build brand awareness and build pathways into marketing, into digital stuff, digital literacy, basically. So for us, it is for us to build an educational first, and then competition second. And that is one of the ways by which we can help our kids to find that level. Although we have professional esports teams in Ghana. So maybe I'll push to one of our biggest players, Mr. Lai, to form an esports club and helping within his community the young guys who are not even going to school can play video games and stay at home. They can play video games and stay not going to do bad things, because esports is passion. And let me tell you a story. We had a meeting with the PRO of the Ghana Army, and one of the things they said was that most of the young people involved in armed robbery and bad things in Ghana is simply because they are idle and don't have anything doing. They've dropped school, dropouts, they don't have any educational skills to work on. But one of the ways we can use is to use esports to catch them young, is to use esports to give them pathways for them to be critical thinkers, because through esports they can learn digital skills. And that is also a pathway, an opportunity. And I know Southern University is offering an online courses in law. Within esports also lies IPs, intellectual properties. How do we use these things? We need the schools to give a proper professional pathways as to sports management and esports management. So it's all within that space.
That's a perfect segue, Kwesi, because I'm throwing it over to Torrence. Can everybody hear me? I had some wonderful conversations yesterday as well about the creativeness of the young ladies and young men who are in the villages and their creations. So as Kwesi just mentioned, we talk about intellectual property in the law. What are some of the things that are generally associated with protecting those creative minds that may come up with new concepts for games?
Can you rephrase the question?
So, Kwesi mentioned intellectual property, right? And so we have students who may be engaged in gaming. What are some ways for licensures or licenses for people to have their property protected in the form of copyright or trademark or patent?
So are we talking about the esports athletes or people who are creating like various versions of the game or
The
music
people
or something?
creating various versions of the games.
Okay. Well, I think they probably need to get with a licensed attorney to, walk them through protecting IP and IP being intellectual property is a type of property that you can't physically hold in your hand, but at least in the U.S., we do give those creators and authors the right to possess and control a particular idea for once it's been attached to a permanent medium where everybody else can experience it. So with that, we'd want to make sure that they get with, again, an attorney, use whatever copyrights, protections, and trademarks that are available. But typically, most people who make versions of games end up getting into some type of licensing agreement with a bigger company like a EA Sports or something like that. So I would tell you for people here in Ghana, I would make sure that, at least on my own, I get familiar with the Burns Convention and also the World Trade Organization that created a agreement called TRIPS. And basically, most of the countries came together and worked out kind of a agreement where they would help to protect various pieces of IP, no matter where they originated.
So it's very important that you consult someone, because at the end of the day, when you have an idea, if someone decides to take that idea, you can't control them taking the idea, but there are ways that you can protect yourself if someone does decide to steal your idea. Is that correct?
I think protect kind of gives people the thought that you're shielded and you're completely safe. I think a better way of looking at it is if you put up the right guards, then even if somebody does infringe upon you, there should be remedies available by law that should be activated, and you should get some favorable results, hopefully.
That's a very lawyerly response. United States lawyerly response. Chris mentioned music, and with your background as a music executive, we see music in sports, we see music in various areas. What are some of the ways that, or how do you get your music into areas like that, into sporting events, into games? How do you get that portion in it, or can you explain to us the intersectionality of music and sports, in music and esports?
So there's a big old bunch of questions. Let's try to unpack it. Okay. Let me first say, to the discussion about whether or not esports is real, I'm going to say, as a person who is the worst athlete in the world, I found out at 8 years old that all black men can't jump, and that playing basketball is not something that happens. I also know that esports is a real thing because I don't have the coordination to beat my 7-year-old nephew. So, you know, in Madden, any other basketball game, so I know it takes some athleticism to put all of those things together. So that type of debate is also happening in the music world, because there was once a time when you made a record, you needed a guitarist, you needed a drummer, you needed a vocalist, you needed all of these people to come into the room with you to create a record. Well, now we have bedroom producers and bedroom studios where people with a laptop, a microphone, can use synthesizers that sound like guitars and sound like drums, and make entire albums in their bedrooms that go out to become great. So in that field, we're still debating, are you really a musician if the only thing you play is a QWERTY keyboard in order to make your music? Mm-hmm. And to that I say yes, because if the fans can hear it, if the people can enjoy it, then the result is the same. So yes, you are a musician. So I said all that to say this to you. If you're looking to try to get your music attached to a game, there's various ways. The biggest way, or the easiest way, is to get with music supervisors. These are the people who are tasked by the major gaming companies to go out and find the right music, the right soundtrack to create the tension and the emotion, or whatever that particular feeling is needed for that segment in the game. In the United States, we have a thing called the Guild of Music Supervisors, where people from all over the country and various companies come together and share resources. There's a bunch of companies out there that will also help music creators to get locked in. The one thing I will caution anyone who's interested in it, I would tell you to be a student, find out what's going on in the industry, and also get with a knowledgeable attorney to help you navigate those treacherous waters, because there are people out here that will exploit you and take pieces of your copyright or all of your copyright and use it for their own benefit and give you nothing in return.
And I'll tell you, that's one of the benefits of having, being in a law school environment, because lawyers can be expensive. I don't know about here, but lawyers in the United States can be extremely expensive. And so one of the things that we do at Southern University Law Center is that we help those up-and-coming creatives. So if you are a gamer, if you are a musician, if you are someone who is aspiring to be a sports player in a traditional sense, how to actually start to navigate with those contracts that someone may present to you. It's hard to sit down and say, well, it's easy to sit down and say, hey, look, go and find an attorney, but this is the beauty of Southern University Law Center, because we're here and we can help navigate that role for you to help you to understand exactly what's being put in front of you or how to protect. And so that's the biggest thing, because it can get very, very complicated. It can be very scary when you are placed in a situation and someone is promising you goals and riches and you don't realize what you're signing, or you don't realize how to protect what you have created. So it's very important. And so, as I was saying earlier, it's one of the reasons why we're here, is because we want to bridge that gap. We want to make sure that not only people in the state of Louisiana and the United States are protected, but we want to make sure, because this is a global world. We have intersectionality, globalization happening everywhere. And so when one person becomes unprotected, we all become unprotected, because as soon as someone thinks that it's easy to take advantage, as Torrence was saying, of someone, then we are all exposed. So it's very, very important for us to seek the proper advice and never, ever give up trying to seek the proper advice. Sometimes we may be the 10th call that someone places, but we're there to help and help guide, because it is extremely, extremely important. And that's what I want to convey when I'm asking these questions, not only having education, but understanding how to protect yourself when you are entering into these arenas, because everything is interconnected. We have someone, again, from music and entertainment who is on a panel with esports persons, and it is literally all interconnected. Would y'all all agree that this is, no matter what the genre of entertainment, of sports or esports, that there are protections and knowledge that needs to occur in order for you to move forth in that pathway?
Sure.
I definitely agree, and I'd like to add a couple things. When you're dealing with any type of contract, one, don't let pride tell you that you can get through this yourself. Because just because you're intelligent and you can read the words on the paper doesn't necessarily mean that you truly understand the nuances of the business and what's on that page. Get somebody who actually knows. The other thing is, if you have loved ones who care but don't have any experience, these are not the people to help you truly navigate the treacherous lane of a contract. Because if you think about it, in the music world, a short form contract is about 85 to 90 pages. And I say that you don't need 85 to 90 pages to say, I think you're great and I just want to work with you. There must be some other things in different levels in that contract. Get someone who's knowledgeable in the industry, and preferably an attorney, to walk you through those things.
I think another factor too, Torrence, I want you to speak on this, that's related to everything that we're talking about. We're in a generation now that streams. Could you speak on license-free music compared to copyright, what they should be doing, what they shouldn't be doing, why they're on stream, to kind of, like you say, self-guard themselves. I wanted to say protect themselves. But, yeah, to put them in the right frame of mind when conducting themselves on streams.
So when a person can put up their music for streaming?
Like say I'm a streamer, I'm at home, I'm playing FIFA, and I have music playing in the background.
Okay, well, great question. Number one, anybody who creates music has the right to control how that music is exploited, and exploited from a legal term, not a bad way. And so what's supposed to happen is anybody who broadcasts it has to get permission from the creator. Typically, that's easy to do by using something called a PRO, or long form is performance rights organization like BMI or ASCAP, and you can get what's called a compulsory license that costs pennies on the dollar. You tell them how much you're going to use it or how long are you going to use it, and you pay a nominal fee that clears you, and you're able to use it. But most of us skip that step because we don't think it's that important.
Right.
It's bad because, one, the creator doesn't get what they're owed for giving you that backdrop to add to that experience that you're giving to someone else. And two, it basically goes back to what Ms. Dickerson is saying, is that for once we allow one person to be wrong, we all get wrong, and now that is the acceptable way when it's actually wrong.
And so, again, this is something that's extremely important, because we all have been to some type of sporting event. We've all been on social media, and we have seen music that is playing. And so how does that affect, is what Torrence was just talking about, how that affects the person who creates the music in order for them to be able to be paid and acknowledged in the correct way is extremely important. And it's things like that we are not always cognizant of, because we want to make these beautiful videos, or we want to make this beautiful content, and we think that it's great. But at the end of the day, it's someone's intellectual property. It belongs to someone, and we are, regardless of how small and minuscule it is, infringing on their ownership of that intellectual property, of that music.
I think another piece that people may not realize is a lot of our platforms have gone through the process to go ahead and license a bunch of music for us, and so that you can go in and see what's available and use music that there's already an agreement in place for you. So my thought process is either use some of that, or if there is something particular that you're using, if you're a big-time gamer or esports athlete, and people are coming to watch you, and you want to use a particular artist, just reach out. Most artists now can be DM'd right through their social media, so it's not hard to contact people.
So if you are a gamer and you feel like you want to come out to the theme of Rocky, make sure you reach out to the person who is responsible or owns the song for Rocky, to make sure that you have permission to use that song. And again, we see this in all types of sports. We see this when footballers come on the field, both American footballers and soccer players. We see this in hockey. We see this all across sports. And those teams have to get permission in order to use that music, because if they don't, they may have to pay a serious fine, especially when you're on a larger platform such as a national team or a team that is a professional team. It's important for the licensing of music to take place so there won't be any fines involved. And so that's basically like how music basically is interconnected, and it's not just in sports. And that's why I say it's so wonderful, because everything is so interconnected. Because you think about music, and then you don't realize that it's esports, it's sports, it's film, it's television, it's commercials and advertisement. So all these levels have to take place when it comes to really trying to incorporate different things into genres that we don't normally think about actually cross.
You know, I can add one more thing to that. There's a game that I'm not too familiar with called Roadblocks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But Roadblocks, some kind of way, I took a record that I was a part of like some 6-7 years ago, and for some reason the kids liked it, and it went from there and bled over to TikTok, and it really became a hit over the course of 3 months when otherwise it was a dud.
Yeah, yeah.
So I'm saying that music is so intertwined with everything, kind of like the law. Music is going to be in every sector, whether you're at a restaurant or on an elevator, or if it's time to graduate, there's music playing. If it's time to get married, there's music playing, so forth and so on. So it's all together, and I think the biggest connector is the fact that we're living in this digital world, and because things are digital, it's easily accessible. It's more easy for us to kind of feel like, oh, it's just a part of everyday life, and not think about the particulars that we need to take extra steps to protect ourselves.
There you go.
So we have about 7 minutes left, and of course, I want to give you all time just to talk about the importance of education when it comes to esports, when it comes to gaming, when it comes to sports, when it comes to entertainment, when it comes to music. What advice would you give to someone who is interested in either one of the fields that I just mentioned?
Yeah, I'll go. So, you know, I think from a Southern University Law Center perspective, we're here to support, we're here to educate, like we've been doing for years, under the leadership of Ms. Dickerson, Vice Chancellor Dickerson. She's been real innovative. She's a thought leader. She's a leader, period. Hats off to our Chancellor Pierre, that's not here. He's also that. So, you know, in the lane of esports, it's like I said, it's a subsector of gaming. Gaming is the biggest form of entertainment in the world. Esports is not going to go anywhere. And Kwesi, help me out. What's the gentleman's name? He said that it's grandkids. That's all they talk about backstage.
Mr. Fiancus.
Yeah, thank you. But you know, that's where we are. It's going to be a common thought process. It's going to be common, just like what Torrence said about music. It's going to be everywhere. I've said at dinners, and I hate to see it because I didn't raise my children like this, but you know, you have kids, especially in the States. They sit for dinner and play on their tablets. They play, you know, on whatever device they want to play, and they're gaming. And if they're not playing games, they're consuming games. You know, they're watching YouTube, they're watching TikTok, they're watching all these things. And so, with that said, we have an esports and law certification course. I talked to Vice Chancellor Dickerson, and she said it was okay. So we're going to offer it as a discount to you guys. If you go on the site, it's sulc.edu/esports. We will offer it to you guys for $200 USD. Normally the course is $495 USD, but if you mention that you're at this particular conference, we'll offer to you. We have a class starting next Monday. The good thing about that is it's virtual. We're 5 hours behind you guys, but we videotape every live course. Kwesi is actually taking the course starting Monday, and so yeah, we'll be pleased to have you guys. But we're definitely here for support. Definitely here to educate you guys, and definitely here to help you build infrastructure around whatever sport, entertainment, music, or anything that you have going down the pipeline.
Okay, all right. So, because we are in a sports summit, I want to delve into how it is going. The first thing is that last year we have a close relationship with GFA. GFA is one of the biggest, it's Ghana Football Association. And they, together with FIFA, had FIFA E, which is the biggest esports in terms of football that the FIFA administration is carefully steering. And with that, guess what? The opportunity for Ghanaians, gamers, not footballers, to travel outside the country to represent the country, meaning that we are getting to that stage for opportunities, for narratives are being changed. And here, I know I have Easy Gaming coach here. He owns a football club, and he owns an esports club all the way from Volta region. So in Ghana alone, currently I can think about 15 esports teams, and they are all verified by FIFA. So if you go online and you check FIFA.gg, there's a huge esports teams that FIFA is currently pushing. And meaning that the narratives are being changed. And even the European countries, almost all of them, you can talk about Man U, you can talk about PSG, you can talk about Chelsea. All of them have their esports teams. And the players are paid exactly the way they are paid in the players on the football field. Meaning that there's a cultural shift whereby footballers or clubs are leveraging on esports to touch base with the next generation. So you can, if you are a club here, you can use esports as a marketing tool. You can use esports as a generation gap to catch the young people, to have following. Because if you don't have spectatorship of the next generation coming to your event, coming to appreciating your brands, we have an older generation of people who love football, yes. You can talk about Phobia, you can talk about all the big teams in Accra, but look at their category of followers or spectatorship or fanship. You see that those in the 13 years, 14 years, 15 years are not there. But these are the future generations who will continually appreciate the sporting world. So I would say that look to esports as a bridge to merge the physical and the virtual and use it as a way to market your clubs. That's all I would say.
I'll quickly just say that no matter what you're going through, understand that education is the pathway to all of your goals. Never stop learning, always keep seeking the answers, and don't let pride or self-doubt get in your way. Please connect with us. I just want to say real quickly, thank you to our esteemed Chancellor Pierre, who's not here, and Vice Chancellor Dickerson, whose office, along with her, puts on all these great things for our students and now connecting us here. Thank you to the panelists, and thank you guys for being here. I appreciate it. And why don't we get a round of applause for over half off for the certification?
Over half off, yeah.
That's a great bit.
So I'll just wrap it up and say that if you want to visit us, you can visit us online, www.sulc.edu. You can also connect with each of us on LinkedIn, Marla Dickerson, Torrence Burnett, Christopher Turner, and Kwesi, what's your last name? Hayford. Kwesi. I'm connected with Kwesi on LinkedIn. Also, we have a booth outside in the hall, so you can stop by to get a brochure about the Esports Law and Management Certification Program. It not only talks about the law, but it talks about managing players and also managing a tournament. And then finally, we have a crossover event that's happening on Saturday at 4 o'clock at the Otium Game Hub. And so we are going to be in Kwesi's home, where we are going to be hosting a tournament, and we are going to have some fantastic prizes for the young kids who are going to be participating there. So if you have time, please stop by 4 o'clock on Saturday. That's where we'll be, so you can get a up-close and personal look at a gaming tournament.
All right, so Otium is located at the Boundary Road, East Legon, just under the bridge, East Legon, 4 p.m. We'll have some FIFA tournament. Just pass through and enjoy the show.
Thank you all.
Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, please give me that for them. Fantastic one there on the panel. So we've got a video that is coming up from the Southern University Law Center. Please just have a look at it for just 1 minute.
By taking a closer look at diversity, technology, and collaboration are hallmarks of a new legal culture. Each is crucial to a profession that is the first responder and ultimate defender of the rule of law that applies to all societal members on an equal basis. By taking a closer look at law school leadership, committing to diversity, and utilizing technology to promote access to affordable legal services, Southern University Law Center is preparing the next generation of law professionals to defend and uphold the rule of law, as well as deliver legal services more efficiently, effectively, and to a wider audience. For over 70 years, the Law Center has modeled and produced over 4,000 lawyer leaders who are blazing a trail in the legal profession around the globe, and remains dedicated to educating diverse and underrepresented persons in various socioeconomic areas. Southern University Law Center. Visit SULC.edu to explore our curriculum, get to know our beautiful and lively campus, or apply to enroll. Diversity,